from the Penn Libraries.
Well, I'm going to talk about the Fujifilm W3 3D compact digital camera. Those of you who may be watching online are not going to be able to appreciate this at all, frankly. You really need to be able to see this in person to get the 3D effect. This is it. It looks really just like a regular small compact digital camera, and it operates as one. It does every bit as well as you would expect a camera that looks like this to do. It shoots 3D, but also shoots regular 2D videos and stills. It's a 10 megapixel camera, pretty small. The main difference, of course, between this and a regular digital camera you might buy is that this does shoot in 3D. If I open it up, which is how you turn it on also, so just pull this front thing down like that, you'll see that there are actually two separate lenses here. And so the idea there, just like your eyes here, right? Your eyes are two lenses. So it's mimicking the human eye there, and so it's video recording or shooting the image or the video from two different vantage points at the same time, and then merging them back into the camera afterwards and showing them to you on this very cool 3D screen. Which again, you guys at home, sorry. The videos themselves, and the photos, you really have two main options for looking at these. Which one is in the camera itself, which really does look really cool. You get the 3D effect. It's a special screen. If you guys have a Nintendo 3DS, or if you've used one, it's the same general idea there. It's the same kind of screen. A lot like a lenticular lens, like where you tilt the picture back and forth kind of thing. You see two different pictures, or it looks in 3D. In this, you don't really have to tilt it back and forth. You're just looking right at it, and it shows you the 3D. And I will pass this around in a second, just so you guys can try this. I just want to tell you a little more about it, and then tell you how to navigate through the photos and videos that I already have on the camera. There are also two microphones, so it actually records in stereo also, to the degree that a microphone that's 3 inches apart can make that difference from a distance, but it is two microphones. You can connect this also to your 3D television or monitor if you have such a thing. They're certainly out there. A lot of people have 3D TVs now. I'm not lucky enough to have one myself. But if you do, you can actually connect this to your TV via HDMI and output it as 3D. You can connect it to a regular TV also that's not 3D, and it will simply display in 2D instead of 3D. So you have that option. I like to make a plug when I do any digital camera for silent mode. This should be the default on all video cameras, but for whatever reason is not. You guys have all, I'm sure, had the occasion where the person is taking pictures of you and it makes that beeping sound every time they do something on the camera. I currently have it turned off on this. It's in the menu system, but just in general, turn those beeps off. I'm not really sure what function that they serve, but we always try to turn our video cameras beeps off in the lab before we turn them out, hand them out, check them periodically. One thing about this when you're taking pictures is, since there are two lenses and neither one of them is down in the middle where you're used to it being, you hold the camera like this and my fingers are now over both lenses. There actually is a warning on the screen when you hold, and if you do this yourself, you'll see there's a little thing. It's not super obvious, but it's there. You can see, oh, look, it says my fingers cover one of the lenses. So you got to be careful and hold it basically like this. I've always really carefully used this strap because when you are holding it like this, it is a little, like, you could go at any time. You can let go pretty easily there if someone bumped you or whatever. So I recommend the wrist strap if you're getting one of these. It comes with it, of course. You cannot turn this camera sideways to take pictures. Well, you can, but you're not going to get that 3D effect. The camera just it's going to take side to side here. So if you turn it sideways, you get the 3D effect when you turn your head sideways again. But until you do that, it'll just it's really shoots in this orientation only. To get the 3D anyway. You can do it with 2D, no problem. Ideally, you want to take this 4 to 5 feet away from something to get that 3D effect. Things that are too close get kind of messed up. Just like if you take your finger and you kind of like hold it right in front of your face like this, you can see two fingers suddenly, right? The same is true with this camera. If you get too close, you'll get that weird kind of double image effect, and you'll see that on a couple of the images that I put in here as you go through them. You can adjust that after the fact. That effect is called parallax, where you have looks like two different images basically because you're taking the same image from two different locations. You can adjust the parallax after the fact in the camera while you're viewing a photo or a video, in case you aren't happy with the way it turned out. So you want to take at least 4 or 5 feet away. It's not good as a result at 3D macro pictures. You can get pretty close with this for 2D photos, no problem. But if you get, get it right in here, you're going to have that weird parallax effect also with macro pictures.
What do you mean by macro?
Very tiny. You can get really close to something, basically. Yeah. Ideally, when you're taking a picture with this thing, you want to take advantage of its of the depth of the scene that you're trying to photograph. So ideally, if you want something in 3D, you're not going to take a picture of something where everything is at the same distance, like something flat, like a wall or whatever. You're not going to be able to appreciate it. You're not going to see the depth. You're not going to see the 3D effect. Ideally, you want something kind of relatively close, something a little bit farther, and then a little bit farther than that, like kind of foreground, midground, background. The more you do that, the better the 3D effect will be. Let me give this to you guys. I'll pass this out. So again, if you need to turn it on because it gets turned off, you just take this front and just literally just pull it down like that. On the back here, if you want to start looking at these pictures, there's a little play button right here, a little play symbol. You just press the play, right? And if you want to navigate through these, there's a little circle down here, this bottom circle. You can just go side to side to actually scroll through them. You'll notice that as you go to a new image, there'll be a moment, and then it'll kind of settle into the 3D effect. It takes a second to actually just to show it right. So don't just, if you just go quickly through it, you're not going to see the 3D effect. If you just go pause, look at it. You get some of these that are they're small in the middle of the screen. There's a lot of big black area around it. Those are videos, actually. They're not photos. If you want to view the video, once you have this on the screen, if you just press down on this little pad here, just down, it will fill the screen and start playing the video. Stop it. You can just press up again and then continue going side to side to scroll through these things. If you want to fool with the parallax thing, like I mentioned, there's this button on top right here, where this is actually controls the parallax. I don't know how well you guys can see this. If I change this, can you guys see the image guide? So it changes it, so you can actually adjust the parallax if it doesn't do a good job and you took the picture automatically. When you go to the next photo and then come back to it, it will have reset to the original parallax. You can actually go through and make that permanent. I won't explain how to do that now, but that is something you can do. So let me hand that out. Let me know if you have questions about it. I'll talk about a few more things as we go. Yeah.
So even with the parallax, this would never be a good candidate for something like surgery or a procedure. Okay.
Right. Yeah. There probably are 3D cameras out there that are made for taking things at that distance, but no, I don't think this is probably the best thing. It is impressive. I mean, some people, Caitlin here included, talk about having motion sickness, and I'm watching her face kind of funky as she's looking at these things.
3D for you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's actually one way where adjusting the parallax can help a little bit. If it looks like it's a little too, you get a little wobbly as you look at it, you can adjust the parallax a little, and that may improve it for that image. You want to shoot wide angle on this camera as much as possible for the 3D effect. The more you zoom in, I noticed, the less you're getting that good 3D effect. So wider is better for 3D. It stores the 3D photos in a format called MPO, multi-picture format. Basically, it stores two. I think it can store more than two, but in this case, it's two JPEGs together in this MPO format. You can open that up in Photoshop. I've done it at least in CS6. I don't know about before CS6 or not. It'll open it up using the 3D features in Photoshop. You can adjust and edit the images, the two separate images basically. You can export it as like a red-blue, so you can use these great things. I considered giving the entire talk wearing these. I decided against it because I noticed that when I wear them for a while and take them off, everything is like shifted a little bit weird. But so you can use these. These have these are not the ideal for 3D viewing of photos or video. They are a necessary evil for people who don't have actual like 3D TV or projector or whatever with the special goggles. But this is you have this option at least available to you. We'll have the camera in the lab, and we'll have the these in the lab also. It's not currently in our equipment lending system. I can certainly though do that at some point in the future, and I can certainly arrange to lend it to anyone who is interested currently. Just talk to me directly, and we'll arrange for you to borrow it. It is a really cool toy. Over Thanksgiving, I used this a bit. My niece and nephew loved it, obviously. My dad was a little, but he also was impressed. It's a cool device. I think it's a little bit gimmicky. One person I showed it to, and by gimmicky I mean like one person said, it looks like a solution in search of a problem. The use is so limited right now because you can really only view it in the back of the screen for most people. It's the only way to see it. What are you going to do with the video other than watching the screen? Also, you save it to your computer, and all of a sudden you cannot view it in the camera anymore. You'd have to copy it back to an SD card, put it back in the camera again to view it, which you can do. That's an option. You guys have any questions about it? Yeah.
Well, when you said in search of a problem,
yeah.
What are some of the uses that you envision for it?
I have a hard time imagining things that are really useful for it. Like I can think there are things that are interesting, just to take 3D images of, but to make it actually something that is useful, that allows you to do something that you can't otherwise do, I have a harder time thinking of things like that. I think the searcher idea is a really neat idea that you mentioned. I don't think that this would work especially well for that, partly because of the distance you'd have to take pictures from.
Maybe elephants.
Yes, elephants are cute. Or horses.
Are there like higher quality versions of this that might work for medical devices?
Yeah, that's again. My guess is that there are some of those. You can upload 3D video to YouTube also, and if you actually Google if you Google on YouTube for a 3D video or the Fujifilm W3 camera, you will find video. You can export video from this in a variety of formats and stills, either the red standard, the standard 3D that you would view on a 3D television. You can do it the red cyan. You can do it a couple other color combinations. You can export it so that it's side by side. There are goggles that show basically one image directly into this side, one image directly into this side, so you have that same 3D effect. You can export it that way also. Depending on what your needs are. Did you have any thoughts about?
The architecture seems like a great.
Yeah, you show it for architecture and things like that is really neat.
So with the red, blue, cyan, could you print still images that these goggles would then work for?
You could.
So you could have a gallery.
Yes, or you could have a computer monitors with a slideshow on it that would go through and show those that you would use these for. It's really important to get the colors right when you print something like that it's the right shade of red and cyan for these to actually work properly, because they each work by filtering the other one out. So if it's not exactly the right one, you're going to still end up seeing both images with these. So that's important, that accuracy of printing. Trying to see if I have anything else written down here that I wanted to make sure I talked about. It records just to a standard SD card, as I mentioned, so nothing special about the way it stores things. Let's see. I think that's about it as far as things I had to talk about. I guess it does have a feature in it. So in 2D, there's a feature there where, since it has two lenses, you can take two pictures at the same time, one from each lens, with different settings for each of the lenses. So one of those is you can have one photo zoomed all the way out and the other one zoomed all the way in, and you're taking two pictures simultaneously. It saves two separate JPEGs to the card, one zoomed in, one wide. I don't know how useful that is for everyone. You can also take it to two different ISO settings, so depending, basically kind of bracketing in the camera for if it's too dark or whatever, and you're not sure exactly what ISO setting. And I think some color settings also too. You can try different vibrance or whatever with the 2 different pictures. Yeah. Yeah.
David, I noticed that it does have the facility to be mounted on a tripod.
Yes, it
Which would
does.
be very useful.
Which is probably ideally the way to go with both video and stills. I mean, there's one of those where I'm walking down a Locust Walk, and I mean it's already kind of a little wonky because you're like, oh my god, this is 3D. But then to actually have the camera moving as you're doing it throws you off a little more. So if you can use this on a tripod or a Steadicam or whatever as you're shooting the video, or it's certainly going to be helpful.
What the experience of a dance performance would be, you might. Just overwhelmed.
Right, right. And actually, that would be pretty cool if you could get from the right vantage point. One of the images on that I took from the 6th floor down onto College Green, and the 3D effect is there, but everything is so far away that you really don't fully appreciate that 3D effect. So you would, if you were too far from that dance performance, you're not still going to be able to appreciate the full 3D. So you want to be at that right distance. I don't think it has to be 4 to 5 feet, but you need to be closer than sitting way back in the audience. I think. Feel free to take it. If you want to take a picture of this, please do. Just press the. So if you want to keep passing it around so people can take pictures, what you do is you take it. If you press, when you're just looking at it, it just shows you in 3D. If you press the shutter button halfway down, it'll switch to 3D mode, and then it's ready to take, and you can actually see things in 3D as you're composing the shot. Then just press all the way down, and it'll actually take the picture and show it to you in 3D in the back of the screen. And then to view it, again, you just press that play button and go back to look at the pictures that you've taken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like to try it? So with the 3D videos, what can you do with them right now? You can't put them on the web.
You can put them on the web, but like right now, if you go to YouTube, you can find 3D videos. And they're shown in a couple of different.
3D TV in order to be able to see it?
No, you can export it so that you can view it with this. You can export it so that you can view it with one of those side by side. So you're showing different image into each, depending on how you export it in different viewing situations.
So you couldn't view it in the native.
You had right.
Using those.
Right. I mean, unless you have a 3D monitor, and then you export it to be viewed as 3D monitor. I don't know if YouTube supports that particular way of viewing, but you could certainly put up online a 3D video that you could show that you would need the special.
In what format are 3D videos in?
You're an AVI on this camera,
Oh, they are.
so I guess the AVI supports what you
Can
need
handle
for a 3D. Yeah. The JPEG itself does not, which is why I stated MPO format.
So it doesn't do 2 different videos the way you
No.
talked about the JPEG.
I mean, that probably is more or less what's going on. I don't know enough about the technical specs of the 3D video itself.
Do you know, David, if there's 3D monitors around campus?
I'm sure that there are, but I don't specifically know of any.
That would be interesting.
And you would still need, for anything that people really, you need a special goggle still to see.
Even with the 3D monitors?
There may be a 3D monitor that does something like this. You'll notice viewing distance is really important on these. If you're not going to use goggles, like if you look at something in 3D and you hold it too far away, the idea here is that one eye is seeing one image and one eye is seeing the other, and this is set up for that as you're holding it to a normal distance. If it's too far away, both eyes can see both. Not many people are going to walk around like this, although the older I get, the more I find myself doing that. You can see both images on the screen at the same time, and kind of this ghosting effect. But most people are not going to be doing this. Like I say, it's just hold it like this.
And presumably, if you hold it at an angle, you'll only see one. In other words, if you hold it like
That's very possible. Actually, I haven't even tried that. But
I'm assuming it has like triangular ridges on there that one side shows one image and one side shows the other.
I don't know if the triangle image is like a lenticular thing, but it's the same idea. I don't know how exactly it works. It seems like that's what I'm thinking in my mind is how it works too, but I don't know. Other questions? I encourage you to try it out. Come by. Like I say, if you want to borrow it, I'd be glad to lend it to you. Any Penn student, faculty, or staff members welcome to borrow it from the lab. I can give you one of these two. Lindsay, one of our lab consultants, said that there is a either cheap or inexpensive plugin, I know, for Premiere that lets you edit the video and then export it so that you can use this with the 3D cameras.
You know, I'm just thinking right now, we've done those 3D shots in QuickTime where you can rotate an object on a turntable.
Yeah.
And whether that could be combined with this so that every time you're looking at it, you're seeing 3D and yet you're able to rotate it and so forth. That would be
pretty cool. You could certainly take, in the ones you're talking about, this kind of this QTVR, and where you're, and it's sort of like a Lazy Susan kind of thing, and you just kind of, it spins those, or
yes,
are you
and
looking
then you
at
have to stitch together the images.
Yeah. There's no reason you couldn't do that with these, or just take a video of it spinning,
Video
of course.
spinning,
Slowly, and see what that would look like.
Right, that'd be easiest.
It might be cool, actually, here's another idea. If museum artifacts, things like that would be a really neat use for this, as long as it's in a situation where people can view them in 3D. Again, that's the main limitation of this camera is you need to have the camera to really view it for most people. Most people still don't have 3D viewing possibilities at home.
Yeah, I like the idea of like having something on the wall with the glasses.
But I can even imagine that someone who has access to an artifact in a remote museum being able to use this, take the picture, and then at least bring the camera to a classroom.
Absolutely.
And pass it around.
Absolutely.
So people could experience the...
Or maybe even some sort of special 3D, like a viewer that just had the screen, you could just load it with pictures, for example, and pass that around in a classroom or have it at a museum, or here are some of the other things in our collection that we don't have out on display, for example, but you can kind of look at these in 3D.
I think I'm still confused about the glasses. So the camera that you have, I don't need glasses.
Do not need glasses for
And
this.
it looks 3D.
Yep.
What would I watch it on with the glasses?
A regular monitor. So if you wanted to watch it on this projector, for example, or on your computer monitor, your laptop, or your screen at home, your television.
So if I take that AVI file and put it on my PC and wear the glasses,
No, you have to export it in a special. You have to put it into your computer, edit it in a program that exports
to a different format.
To a different format
But it would still be AVI.
Or depending on how you export it, you could export that however you wanted. But visually, it would have the red and the blue stuff. And again, you can find it on YouTube now if you just want to see what that looks like and try it with one of these pairs of glasses. You can find red, blue, 3D. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thanks,
Well,
really
thank
cool.
you.
Thank you.
It does make the detail pop, for
Oh, yeah.
trophy.
I bet the one you took walking down like is wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can
It's really
see
cool.
the 3D nature. You can see the boots.
The icy branches with the building behind it, that was beautiful.
And then there was the chandelier in the fine arts.
Yeah, that was similar,
looks
and that
so
was one
3D.
where there's that railing in the foreground and everything, and it's a little weird to look at, but the chandelier itself looks great. But if things get too close, it looks bad. I tried to take pictures with this of things, so the hallways or down Locust Walk, where you really get this sense of distance, and that's really where it is.
The Locust Walk one looked at 3D is very much.
Yeah.
It looks very 3D much. You see the people walking at you.
Yeah. You guys may have seen the one of the lock, of the single lock, where you can
Yeah.
very clearly see two different images, and that's what happens when you get too close.
I could see like the Orrery Society getting photos, photo gallery of these with a pair of the glasses.
Right. Fuji makes a printer that does print lenticular images from these. It would be very expensive to do that, I think, but I mean, it is possible at least. I don't know how to do it. My guess is that there are some vendors online where you can send them the NPO file and it would come back as a lenticular image. The best lenticular images I've seen though get taken from like many photos, so that as it's like 3D as you're tilting. It's not just two images, but it's actually a whole bunch. This is only two. It's something. It's something cool. I haven't tried that out, but I'm looking forward to it. Cool. All right.